Alright, it's UFC 94 time. And I actually have Byron listening to me making the video, so this will be interesting. Okay, first up, yeah, they can't hear you, Byron. First up in the night, we have Manny, the Pitbull Gambierian versus Thiago Tavares. Thiago Tavares, or Fez, as Byron would like to call him, he's very well-rounded, very good fighter in general. Excellent submissions, excellent striking. Well, not excellent striking, but good striking, good wrestling. But he's facing Manny Gambierian. Manny can probably take him down, or he may get knocked out Rob Emerson style, but I don't think so. Manny should be able to take him down, control him, and get a UD, and he's a good enough counter grappler to just prevent Thiago Tavares from tapping him from bottom. So I got Manny Gambierian UD. Next we have Chris Wilson versus John Howard. John Doomsday Howard is a pretty good grappler, but every time he steps up in competition, he seems to lose. His biggest fights are against Nick Catone and Dan Miller. He lost by unanimous decision on both cases, and also got submitted by Alexander Moreno, who's a bit of a known fighter. And his other loss is to a guy named Woody Weatherby by an unknown method. I've never heard of Woody Weatherby, so... And I've not heard of anyone other than Charlie Brenneman that he has beaten. So, having not seen a lot of film on him, I do have to go with Chris Wilson. It could be by UD, but I'm going to go on a little bit of a gamble and say Wilson finishes him in the second round via strikes in a TKO manner. Chris Wilson, of course, Team Quest guy, excellent wrestler, good kickboxing, good grappling. Just, he is a guy who can be a pretty big force in the welterweight division. Next, we have Dan Kramer versus Matt Arroyo. I'm assuming this is a welterweight fight. Matt Arroyo should probably not fight welterweight ever again. He is definitely built for lightweight. His problem is he has no real hands. He is a fairly talented grappler, has some good submissions. His only really notable opponent, though, is Matt Brown. His biggest win is over John Colossi, which is enough said, because we saw John Colossi on The Ultimate Fighter get submitted repetitively. Dan Kramer is a better wrestler, I think. He's ATT trained. He messed up Tim Crater pretty good in their fight until Tim Crater got a heel hook in on him. I do not think Arroyo does it in this fight. That being said, Arroyo, relatively tough guy when it comes to it. I mean, he was finished by Matt Brown, but I think Dan Kramer will probably win a unanimous decision in this fight. Although the idea that this was supposed to be Dan Kramer versus Matt Riddle, that would have been a very interesting fight in my opinion. Next, we have Stephan the American Psycho Bonner versus John Bones Jones. John Jones is an awkward kind of fighter. He's very athletic. Not terribly technical, but very athletic. And so he'll use that to his advantage. He's coming out the win over Andre Gusmayo. Stephan Bonner is better than Andre Gusmayo in almost every aspect of the game. That being said, we haven't really figured out what John Jones' weakness is. So I'm going to play it a little bit safe here because I took the gamble with Chris Wilson and say it goes to unanimous decision for Stephan Bonner. Next we have Jake O'Brien, Christian Walish. Interesting fight in the fact that some people are saying it's a 205 fight, which is weird because both these guys are known as heavyweights, and they're reasonably large heavyweights, and I really don't see them cutting weight, but you never know. Christian Walish is a pretty good BJJ guy out of the American Kickboxing Academy. Has reasonable striking, reasonable wrestling, pretty good conditioning. He's very tough to finish in some ways. I mean, Shane Carwin pretty much destroyed him in the last fight, but he can take a beating. O'Brien, not a finisher. He's a very good wrestler. He has pretty good boxing. It's ever improving. But the problem is, of course, he had the back injury, and since he's come back from that, he's not been the same guy, getting pretty much wrecked by Andrei Arlovsky and Cain Velasquez. That being said, I still think he's probably a step above Christian Walish. I think he'd take Walish down. I don't think Walish can submit him from bottom. So I'm going to go with Jake O'Brien by UD. Next up, we have Nate Diaz, Clay Guida. Interesting fight. Guida's best weapon is, of course, to put the pace on you. It may work against Nate Diaz, but that being said, Nate Diaz has generally been able to submit people you wouldn't think he can. Kurt Pellegrino, for example. Alvin Robinson as well. And Guida can be submitted. We saw that with Roger Huerta, even though he basically had to hit him with a knee from hell while he was going for a takedown. But he's a guy who has been submitted before by the likes of Yusuke Endo and Tristan Yunker, and there's probably a couple others that I cannot recall. But those are the two that kind of come to mind. And Nate Diaz, I think, is a bit better than either of them. So I'm taking Nate Diaz via second round submission. But it would not be surprising to me if Guida could put the pace on him and pick up a UD. Karo Parisian versus Dong Hyun Kim. We got the Heat versus the Stun Gun. Karo Parisian has been suffering from panic attacks lately, which is just yet another string of things that are wrong mentally with Karo Parisian and why he probably shouldn't be fighting all that much. He needs to take some time off and get his shit together. DHK, I think, is a better judoka than Karo Parisian. I think he has better stand-up than Karo. I think Karo may be a slightly better grappler, but I don't think it'll be good enough. I'm taking DHK with a TKO in the third round because Karo usually gasses out by then. That being said, if DHK comes in like he fought Matt Brown, he will probably get his ass whipped. He needs to come in shape for this fight. Because he looked terrible against Matt Brown. Matt motherfucking Brown, according to Byron. Okay, we have John Fitch, Akihiro Gono on the preliminary card, I've heard. Although on MMA Playground it's listed on the main card, but that probably is wrong. John Fitch, Gono. Gono, good kickboxer, good grappler, very, very veteran, crafty opponent. John Fitch, powerhouse wrestler, improving striking at all times, and a pretty good grappler. There is no way that I think Akihiro Gono wins this fight. I mean, anything can happen in MMA, but this is probably one of the surer picks of the night. John Fitch by UD over Gono, because Gono is a tough bastard, veteran, swabby, all that good stuff. Lyoto Machida versus Thiago Silva, both very good fighters, 13-0. Problem is here, although Silva does have the right style to make Machida fight, an exciting fight, I think. He's very aggressive. He's a very good striker. He does not have the gas tank that is required. So I think we may finally get a somewhat exciting round out of Machida in the first round. But I think after that we go back to the usual Machida, evasive, counter-striking style that wins him fights and keeps us complaining about him. So I'm taking Machida via unanimous decision, although Silva can make this a pretty interesting first round. George Russ St. Pierre versus BJ Penn. First up, I have to get something out of the way. BJ Penn, nut huggers, fans, if you wish to be called as such, but apparently you think he's God, which makes me call you nut huggers. You keep bringing up the fact that GSP looked like a mess after their first fight, and BJ Penn looked fine. I could take, or anyone can take BJ Penn into the backyard, tie him up, take a massive 2x4, and beat him in the face for 3 hours, and he would still look fine. That's just how BJ Penn is. He does not show damage. Some fighters do, some fighters don't. Anyways, GSP won the first time. I think he will win this time, and much in the same fashion. I think if he doesn't get poked in the eye, his stand-up will look a lot better. And I think his wrestling and jiu-jitsu have come a long way since the first fight. I think he can take BJ Penn down. I think he can control him. BJ Penn has never submitted anyone in MMA competition off his back. Never. He has 3 wins by rear naked choke over Matt Hughes, Jens Pulver, Joe Stevenson, and Taka Norigomi, so 4 actually. And he won by arm triangle against... I can't remember the name. But it was someone... Dwayne Ludwig. There we go. I mean, needless to say, his grappling game is phenomenal, but he is not used to having to fight a guy like GSP who's going to put him on his back and can control him. So I got GSP by UD just because I can't see him finishing BJ Penn. Because BJ Penn, like I said, he does not take damage, and it's just, he's a very hard guy to stop. That's not to say BJ will not have some moments in this fight where he looks good, because I think he will. But I gotta go with GSP, and I will probably get flamed by certain people for that. Anyways, that is the fight card. It's a very good fight card. Like, there are 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Basically, the only fights I'm not looking forward to are Chris Wilson and John Howard, and I'm not overly looking forward to Fitch versus Gono. Even though I like Fitch, I like Gono, but I just think that the match is going to be a bit one-sided. Anyways, I'll probably be back later today doing my Infliction video, and I will see you later.